I thought Carson was gonna surprise Faith and be there, but as the show is coming on, they're telling us that he's doing his internship or whatever that was that he was doing. I'm not really excited about When Calls the Heart premiere because Nathan didn't get the girl, but I'm sure it'll be a good season. A hot air balloon came hovering over the town, and everybody was looking up at it and waving at it. Lucas walked Elizabeth home, and they're doing a lot of kissing. I'm guessing, yeah, it's normal for new people, newlyweds, the new couple to do all that kissing, but I don't know. Maybe it's getting on my nerves because I wish it was Nathan. I don't know, but Rosemary is interviewing the pilot of the hot air balloon, Mr. Weekler. Lee walked up, said he had been looking for Rosemary everywhere. She wouldn't let him have a voice in edgewise. She was telling him about the stories that the balloon pilot was telling her. And when he was able to speak, he asked her if she would reconsider being his stomping with him, trying to win being the mayor. Rosemary said she couldn't do it because she was over the newspaper and she wanted to stay neutral. Lee was disappointed, but he said he understood. Bill was reading a note from Jesse and Clara. They're homesteading in Montana. Bill asked Minnie if she would look after the cafe while he was gone. He left for the day. The next time they showed him, he was riding with Nathan on their horses, and Nathan has a mustache. Bill told Nathan that the Mounties wanted some of them to drive cars, and Nathan said he wasn't giving up his horse. And Bill said, well, maybe I can talk you into cutting off that mustache. And Nathan said that was even more unlikely. And he asked Bill, are you giving up your horse? He said no. But there he is trying to talk Nathan into giving up his horse. Told him he would teach him how to drive. Henry Gowan is back in town. Faith was hammering her sign to her door because it kept falling, so she's hammering it up. Henry walked up to the ladies, Molly and Faith, and took the hammer out of Faith's hand and went over to the door he was trying to get into. It was locked, and he tore the lock up to open the door and then walked back and gave Faith back the hammer and said thank you. Nathan and Elizabeth crossed paths, and Nathan asked Elizabeth if she thought that Lucas would teach him how to drive. He didn't want to let Bill know that he had changed his mind, so he wanted to, I guess, under the radar, learn how to drive and surprise Bill, I guess. And Elizabeth said, well, why don't I teach you? My father taught me to drive years ago, and I have a spotless record. And Nathan seemed like he was a little iffy about it. I don't know if he probably was thinking that Lucas would have a problem with it or not, but he reluctantly agreed to let Elizabeth teach him how to drive. Elizabeth turned from talking to Nathan, and she saw the Canfield boy with a slingshot getting ready. It looked like he was getting ready to shoot the balloon, the hot air balloon. Elizabeth called his name, and the boy next to him said he wasn't gonna do it, honest. And Elizabeth said it sure looked like he was, and that would be very dangerous. Both boys lowered their head and walked away. And next, Elizabeth went to talk to Minnie and thanked her for substituting teaching for her. Minnie asked Elizabeth if she thought that Bill would sell the cafe to her. Elizabeth said, Oh, it couldn't hurt to ask. And I'm seeing a pattern here. Everyone is asking Elizabeth about the next person. Nathan asked Elizabeth if Lucas would teach him to drive. Minnie is asking Elizabeth if Bill may want to sell the cafe. Who else is going to ask Elizabeth about someone else? Nathan was talking to his horse about riding around in the car and how ridiculous it would be for he and the horse to be riding in the car, which I don't know how he would get the horse in the car. But anyway, as he was talking to the horse, a rider rode really fast and turned the corner, and Nathan took off after him. And when Nathan got in town, he didn't see the person, but they went behind the cafe and got off the horse and took their skirt down and took the coat off and put it inside the pouch on the horse. And little Jack was watching everything. And the lady with the long brown hair, she did the put her finger to her mouth, and so little Jack could keep it a secret that he had saw her. And then she got on the horse and saunteringly rode into the front of the cafe and went by Nathan and spoke to him, saying, "Hi, constable." And he said, "Hi." And so he didn't know that was the same person, because she took the coat off and everything and put her skirt down, and so he didn't know she was who he was chasing. Henry is upset at Mike because he didn't call and tell him about the new businessman that Lucas, and Fiona are talking to. And he stomped up to them, told the guy Jerome off. I can't think of his last name at this moment, but told the guy off, and told Mike, "You should have called me," and he stomped away. Later, Fiona asked Mike if do he think that she should tell Henry that she's the one that brought Jerome in. Mike was upset because he's running for mayor along with Bill and Lee, and his poster has "not wanted for mayor" on it, and they drew a mustache on his face. And the one of the women, Molly or the other woman sitting at the table said, you should grow a mustache, and Molly said, "Like Nathan," and Fiona said, "Not like Nathan." Mike told Fiona, I don't think you should tell Henry about Jerome because it would only upset him, but I think you should have told me though." She said, "I'm sorry. I just thought once they got together, they'd work things out." Nathan walked into the saloon. Elizabeth was sitting at a table alone, and he said, "Are you waiting on Lucas?" She said, "Well, he's over there taking care of business. He was over there with Henry, Mr. Gowan, and the other guy, the new business person, and Mike." And so Lucas came over to the table and asked Elizabeth to excuse him because he was still, doing his business thing. And she said, "Sure." And Lucas was only looking at Elizabeth, and she said, "Fine," or something like that. She said, "Great." He said, "Great." And Nathan said, "Great." And then Lucas looked over at him like this was the first time he saw it, which it was. I didn't see him look over at him. And he spoke to Nathan. He said, "Nathan." Nathan said, "Lucas." And Lucas walked away to go back to his business meeting. Lucas was talking to Mike and Fiona. Mike was telling him that somebody drew a mustache, vandalized his posters, and Nathan saw the lady that rode into town. he saw her coming down the stairs, and he said, "Excuse me." He went over there to talk to her. He said, "Did you ride into town on a this and this type of horse?" And she said, "That's a common horse." And he said, "It's a fast horse too." With her hand extended, she said, "Miss you," which is her name. He said, "Nathan Grant." And just as Grant came out of his mouth, he heard a commotion behind him. It was Henry sucker punching the new business partner. Nathan went over and got in between them and said, "That's enough, that's enough." The business partner said, "I want to press charges." So Nathan said, "Henry," and Henry began to walk out of the saloon. Mike and Fiona looked at each other. Mr. Yost and his wife have a secret business. They've been keeping it secret, and everyone in the town has been waiting to see what it is. May Sue, the new lady in town, she knocked on Mr. Yost's door, and they were expecting Mr. Lewis, whom May Sue said is her husband, and he is a pharmacist, and she's a pharmacist too. So from what she said, she's been corresponding in the place of her husband. They thought, Faith thought that she was corresponding with Mr. Lewis, but it's been May Sue the entire time, and she wants to be the pharmacist. But they have to think about it. We don't know. Well, we know she's gonna turn out to be the pharmacist, but right now they're thinking about it. They need to call. Well, May Sue was talking to Faith later on, and she said that she wanted to talk to Mr. Lewis, and she said, "No, please don't." So she don't want them to talk to her husband. She just wants to get the job and prove that she can be a pharmacist. Thinking back on it, she didn't really say that Mr. Lewis was her husband. Mr. Yost asked her if Mr. Lewis was her husband. And May Sue said, "My point is, I graduated at the top of my class, and now I'm a licensed pharmaceutical chemist." Mr. Yost said, "Mrs. Lewis," and she jumped in and said, "Sue." So I'm kind of thinking maybe she's not married to Mr. Lewis. She just studied under him. Mr. and Mrs. Yost did a Broadway routine before revealing that their new business is going to be a Yost Pharmacy and Soda Fountain store. May Sue and Faith were talking, and as usual, Elizabeth was looking at afar. She was looking, being nosy like normal, and once May Sue walked away, Elizabeth walked over to Faith and said, "Faith, is everything okay?" Faith said, "I don't know," and then she walked away. Lucas took Elizabeth up in the hot air balloon. They didn't have the ropes connected to the ground. They just went on up because Lucas said he knew how to fly the balloon. While he was up there, he told Elizabeth that he wasn't going to take on a business partner. He was going to sell his stake in the business, and because he didn't want anything to get in between him, her, and little Jack. Elizabeth said, "I would never ask you to do that," and he insisted this is what he wants to do. Nathan was riding his horse at a high rate of speed, and a car was coming around the corner, the opposite corner. And when it went off, Nathan was pulling the reins, and they just showed his face looking shocked. They didn't show whether the car hit the horse or not, but I hope it didn't. We'll find that out next week.